Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel Stitches Past 5. My name is Vera and today I'm coming at you with another knitting podcast. Essentially, I'm gonna share what's been going on in my knitting life. Which I think is kind of exciting at the moment because yeah, it's getting pretty cold where we are, so sweater season is back in full force. So I don't know, I just always get super motivated, especially like the time before Christmas, like planning out all the Christmas gifts and like what I'm gonna make and like what I'm gonna make for me and my partner and family and so on and so forth. So it's just like a lot is going on. At least in my head, in terms of what I wanna like make or what I wanna plan or design or whatever. So yeah, I thought I would share a little bit about that with you today. I have one finished object today, then I have one work in progress. This is a pretty like big work in progress, so I don't think it'll be done that soon or that quickly. And then I want to share some acquisitions with you as well as some future knitting plans. I think if you've kind of followed along with my podcast, I am a knitter who kind of likes to focus on one thing or making one thing at a time. I tried to steer away from that and try to start 2 or 3 projects so I could really like have a choice in what I make on a given evening, say after work, but I don't know, every time I try to do it, it doesn't really work out. Essentially, what I end up doing is one kind of stays in the corner and the other one I finish and then I get back to the one that's been lying around. So that's why here on these podcasts, I kind of share like one project at a time. I know there's knitters out there who have like 5 or 6 sweaters in the making, which is beyond me. Like I could never, like it's enough focus and time to like focus on one and like read the pattern properly and do everything for one project. So, but I guess every knitter is a little bit different in that. Okay, so the finished item that I want to share with you today is my mini scarf. I'm so happy about this. I've been meaning to make one of these for such a long time and I never really had the yarn for it. So when I was in Edinburgh on holiday, I was in this yarn shop and they just had like all these gorgeous yarns, and I find yarn shopping so overwhelming always when you don't have a project in mind. So I went with this one, kind of in the back of my head that I was gonna make a mini scarf out of it. And so the yarn that I used for this is the Malabrigo Mechita in the color Wales Road. So as you can see, it's like this hand-dyed yarn, kind of corrugated, kind of ranging from turquoise, dark blue, all the way to purple. And I think it's like a really interesting like color combination. And I fell in love with this yarn when I saw it in the shop. I knew I had to purchase it. I knew I had to make something for myself with it because I'm just so in love with these colors. They do look a little bit darker on camera than they are in real life, but I think you get the gist of it. The pattern that I used for this mini scarf was one that I just found for free somewhere online. I mean, I figured I don't want to purchase a pattern if it's all, you know, garter stitch and an I-cord. That's kind of what I saw for most of them. I'd say, yeah, and if you kind of, I mean, there are so many free patterns for mini scarves around, so I really don't think that's something, or at least for me, that wasn't something that I wanted to spend money on a pattern for. In the pattern that I used is like meant to be a bigger scarf, but I knew I wanted to make a mini scarf and that worked fine with the pattern because it was essentially one that you start knitting and then when you're halfway, so either when half of your skein is used up or when you feel like now you've reached halfway, this is half of the length that you want to achieve, then you stop doing increases and then you start doing decreases. I will say that the pattern that I use, and again I'll link it below, I altered it a little bit and I did increases every 6th row, so every 3rd back and forth instead of every 4th row instead of every 2nd back and forth, just because I found that it was getting too triangularly too quickly and I wanted it to kind of be like a longer tube. The pattern is only increases on one side, so you'll see that the top is flat and that the bottom kind of like increases ever so slightly, but you really see it at the ends where this is flat and then this is kind of, I guess you can see it where the increases happen. Yeah, I mean, this is the only mini scarf pattern I kind of looked at, so I don't know if this is normal for mini scarves. I don't know if they increase on both sides. I have no idea. But yeah, it wears really well. I don't know, I hand washed it to block it. I was a little bit worried about the colors bleeding. Didn't have an issue at all. I mean, of course it bled like a tiny little bit because it is a hand-dyed yarn. But yeah, I mean, that's to be expected, and I will hand wash this in future times, although it is a superwash merino yarn, which I probably should have said before, it is a superwash merino yarn. But yeah, just because I don't want color bleeding to other garments, I'll probably continue hand washing it. That's not an issue. Yeah, in terms of itchiness, it is like a scarf that's worn like right at the neck here. I would say in terms of itchiness, it's like 1 to 2% itchy. If 100% is like you touch it and you have to put it away right away, it's that itchy. And 0% is like no itch at all, like acrylic I guess would be 0%. This is really fine, like I have not had an issue. It's like, I'd say 1 to maybe 3% if you're really sensitive. Itchy, and yeah, I just think it's such a versatile item. Like I just keep this in my handbag now, and I've definitely kind of reached for it when I've been a little bit cold, or when we're going for lunch and it's not quite cold enough to wear a jacket, but I just want a little bit of extra warmth. Yeah, I think in terms of construction, it's pretty basic. So it's, like I said, it's garter stitch, back and forth with an I-cord on either side, and I think that just makes it look really chic, very elegant. I think with the I-cord, a lot of people don't assume it's self or handmade because it doesn't look that handmade. Like I think an I-cord always gives a very like professional finishing touch, and yeah. Not sure what else there is to say about a nice little mini scarf. I will be making more of these. I love this thing. So I think once I have a little bit more yarn left over or something, I'll definitely kind of reach for it again. I think the total amount of yarn I used for this is around 30 to 40 grams. I think I weighed it, I think it was like 38 grams or something. But of course that's like really subjective to how long you make it. Mine, I think, ended up around 90 to 100 centimeters, but before blocking was around 80, so it did grow a little bit. But I guess that's part of the garter stitch as well. Moving on to my current work in progress. This is one that I think I've talked on here about a lot because it's been on my list of things to make so often or for so long. And I'm super happy that I'm finally getting around to making it. So I need to organize this a bit. This is the bigger work in progress that I'm currently on. And it is the PetiteKnit men's quarter zip. So this is where I am at the moment, or zipper sweater I think it's called. So I've just kind of put the sleeves aside on stitch holders here on both sides. I measured the opening here for where the zipper is gonna go. I measured it like a little bit too late, and then I was super lucky that the zipper was exactly the length of this. So if you're making the PetiteKnit zipper sweater, measure your zipper before you join the round again, because yeah, if you're lucky like me, you'll be fine, but if not, then you might just have a zipper that's too long or too short to fit into your gap. I've now hit a point where I'm just going in the round, which I always kind of like because I can just do that while watching TV. It's pretty mindless to me. That being said, it was a lot of raglan back and forths, of course, because you can't knit in the round, of course, because that's where the zipper is gonna go in front here. So it was a lot of back and forths, which took forever and a half, it felt like. I think I was doing 2 weeks of just raglan back and forth. I mean, that being said, it has been like a pretty busy time just with autumn starting, university starting. I'm not a student, but I work at the university, so it's just like a busy time. And yeah, so I'm happy that that part is over now, that I can just kind of mindlessly go in circles now. And yeah, I've done the double knitted collar up here. that was also interesting because I misinterpreted the pattern a little bit. I read the Judy's Magic cast on and I thought, great, I've done that before, I'm just gonna go. So what I showed you last time was actually the incorrect start. But I fixed it, I unraveled it, I fixed it, and kind of merged it together, and it's given me this really cool looking like edge where the double knitting goes into the, well, I guess this is the wrong side, but into the stockinette stitch. From the other side it looks a lot more like normal, but I really just thought that this like transition here like just looks really cool. Yeah, the yarn and pattern I should probably talk about that I'm using for this is, like I said, the PetiteKnit zipper sweater. I'm making size M, and I'm using the wool, this one, the Bluefaced Leicester Fleece. This is by the West Yorkshire Spinners, and it is a DK weight yarn, 100% British wool. This one I also purchased in Edinburgh, so I guess this is like the using my yarn bought in Edinburgh podcast. I'm making it, or I bought it in the color Fossil, and yeah, it's essentially like this gray. We always say like every time you look at it in a different light, it looks like it's a different color, and that's kind of true. Like sometimes it's a bluish gray, sometimes it's a greenish gray, sometimes it's just gray, so that's kind of fun. It's not really my color, but I'm making it for my partner because it is a men's sweater. That's why it's also taking a long time, because he's just a lot larger than than the size that I would need. But the tension or the gauge on this wool is 22 stitches by 28 rows. The pattern calls for 20 stitches for 10 centimeters, so I'm actually sizing up half a needle size. So I'm using 4.5mm instead of 4mm needles, and then I was able to hit the gauge of 20 stitches per 10 centimeters exactly, and I don't find that it's too loose of a gauge. Like, it's still very like opaque, there's no big holes or anything, so that's kind of working out well. Also, he wanted like a little bit of a lighter sweater because the last one I made for him was like a pretty thick, I think 17 stitches gauge and like pretty tight knit, so he just wanted something that's a little bit more breathable. Yeah, other than that, I mean, I'm knitting them on my Prim interchangeable needles, and yeah, I think it's an 80 centimeters in the round, which was kind of a struggle because I had over like 350 stitches at some point in the row, like up where the shoulders are, but it worked out just fine. I'm usually a fan of like more stitches than fewer stitches in the round, so they kind of like flow easier, but yeah, so stay tuned for the zipper sweater. I'm a little bit nervous about installing the zipper, but I think I've done a lot of research, or I've done enough research to hopefully be able to do that quite smoothly once it comes to it. I've watched some videos, I've also kind of like watched other zipper installations, so hopefully I'm ready for that, because I feel like it is one of those things that if the zipper is not installed well, then the whole sweater is not going to look great. Okay, then I actually have another, well, I guess half-finished project to share, and that is a cute little baby sock. I think this is so cute. I designed it myself, so I will be, I'm gonna make a tutorial for it here on YouTube, and also just probably post the pattern for free because it's like a really basic vanilla baby sock pattern. I just blocked this, that's why it's so like flat. But this is so cute. It's not for myself, obviously, or for my baby, but it's for a coworker who is having a child, so there you go. The yarn I use for this one is this one, Lana Grossa Soft Cotton. Here we go. I figured for a baby, it's probably best to go the safe route of cotton versus anything wool related, because their skin obviously is way more sensitive than ours. And yeah, nothing more to say about this one. I guess I used regular sock needles. It's so cute, like it's so teeny tiny. And yeah, I think I always love making things for other people. Hopefully that will make them happy. So yeah, that's my baby sock. I essentially just designed it like with a German short row heel and some ribbing at the top. Nothing too special, just your basic vanilla sock. So I guess that's another finished item or half finished item that I wanted to share with you. Now to my acquisitions. When I was shopping for the cotton yarn, which I guess is also an acquisition, but it's just one ball of cotton yarn, I also came across these, the Rico, what are these called? Ricorumi? It's a chenille yarn, so it's like super soft. And mostly I'm just curious to try something with it. I have no idea what I'm gonna make with it. I thought, okay, if the sock doesn't work out in cotton, I'll make it out of this. It worked out in cotton fine, so I'll probably not make it out of this. But I'm sure someone in my circles will get pregnant at some point, so then I can make them cute little baby socks as well with this. So a little fun acquisition. I did put in another larger yarn order just for some future projects coming up, but that hasn't arrived yet, so I'll probably be sharing that in the next podcast episode. What I do want to make soon, and I've actually have my 52 weeks of easy knits book here. My next project that I'm probably gonna cast on is this one. So it is the diamond twill vest, and it looks like this. And it's essentially this basic vest with this like kind of diamond shaped pattern of, I guess it's knits and pearls. That's how the pattern kind of comes to show. And I just ordered the yarn for it as well, so I'm super excited for that to make its way here. It often takes a little bit. This yarn's been like on the way for over a week and a half. Just because of our location, sometimes it can take a little bit longer. But that's all right. I have plenty to knit before I start this one anyways. So I think that's it for today. I guess I don't have that much to share because I'm just working on this big sweater most of the time, designing some Christmas decor things, which you'll see on here soon as well. I want to make like a mini sweater and like maybe a mini like Christmas hat ornament, and also make tutorials for that to post on here. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, other than that, not too much going on, just really enjoying, like we have the best autumn weather right now. It's sun shining every single day, skies are blue, like leaves are orange. What better time to go running outside, go on hikes, go on bike rides, and so on and so forth. It's just really enjoying our time outside, trying to not take the autumn sun for granted, because I've definitely also lived in places where that is not a given, and I know what it feels like. So we're really, really lucky this year here to have the mountains not yet in snow, and just really enjoying every ray of sun that we can, it feels like. Anyways, so I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. I'd love it for you to stick around and subscribe and give this video a like if you enjoyed watching it. I hope to see you in the next one, and until then, I hope you take care. Bye!